guys, it's Lord Botha here with another video, and the battle between Mufasa and Sonic 3 continues. Now, as you can see here from the numbers, Mufasa is at $113 million for the domestic, with $214 million for the international, around $327 million total. Now Sonic the Hedgehog leading in the domestic, $137 million, far less international, though it had a later international release than Mufasa at $74 million. That's a total worldwide of $211. Now to the very lay person, you look at those numbers and you're like, well, Mufasa is obviously leading. It's winning the race, right? Not necessarily. Remember, this is just the box office, so this is essentially gross revenue. And when we think of gross revenue from like a job standpoint, gross revenue is the money you're supposed to make based upon what you're paid hourly times the amount of hours you work, right? The problem is, we all know that's not what you take home. What you take home is your net pay. Net pay is after they take taxes, social security, insurance, all that out of your check. That's why the old joke is it's called gross revenue, because it's gross how much other people take out of your check. Likewise, this is sort of the gross money that both of these movies have made. However, you make more money actually from domestic box office than you do international. International box office, those theaters are taking way more of that money. And yes, that's how theaters make their money. A share of the money goes to the actual filmmaking company, but another share of the money goes to the theaters. That's how they get paid. You also have to keep in mind that Sonic 3, like I said, had a later international release. It also was shown on about 400 theaters less than Mufasa, and it has less premium screens than Mufasa, meaning that those premium screens have a higher dollar value attached to them. They cost more money. So Mufasa is making more money. So one of the reasons Mufasa is making a little bit more money is because it's on more premium screens. However, when you put that all together, essentially we get Sonic 3 to about where people thought would be the best case scenario for it. It's probably going to top out at maybe around the $500 million mark, which, considering its budget was around $122 million, and that's before advertisements and all of that, this thing's going to make its money back in kind of a nice little profit. And that's what all the Sonic films have essentially done. However, for Mufasa, a movie that's reported to have at least a $200 million budget, if not a fair bit more than that, a $300 million worldwide box office right now is on track for disaster, especially when you consider that this movie is technically a sequel, or I guess you can call it a prequel, to the live action Lion King, right? That movie made $1.5 billion. So this movie, at the end of the day, is probably going to make roughly around the same amount of money as the Sonic film, maybe a little bit more, but it's going to be way worse off for it and look like a disaster on paper, because it's going to make about $1 billion less than the first film. This won't stop Disney from trying to shill, though. As you can see, they have yet again posted on X that The Lion King is now the #1 movie in America and the #1 movie in the world. They even gaslight us by saying 2 weeks in a row. And of course, we all know that's not true. We saw the domestic numbers. Sonic 3 was way ahead in the domestics, and Walt Disney Studios is reminded of this fact in the comments a lot. You see Jeremy here, D-Day Cobra, hide this reply if you support Trump, with a picture of Shadow. You got Krista Nova saying don't hide my reply, and we'll get to that for a reason just a second. Master of the TDS posting a laughing Sonic gif. Philip Chan with that how that community notes tastes. And let's get to that, because there has been a community note that's been put on this post and the post before it that Sonic did have the #1 movie at the American box office. But what people are talking about in reference to the hidden replies is that on this post and the previous post, Disney is hiding a ton of replies, and they're all replies that are promoting Sonic. It's kind of funny, because by hiding the replies, they've created a Streisand effect, where A, they're getting laughed at, and B, it's just promoting Sonic at this point. Because all the hidden replies are like this: a gif of Sonic saying, "What?" Another gif of Sonic saying Sonic Movie 3 was better. More Sonic and Shadow gifs. And it just goes on and on and on. The point here is that this film is a financial disaster. is a disaster when we compare it to its budget. It's a disaster when we compared it to the gross revenue. It's a disaster when we compare it to the revenue made by the first film, The Lion King. And it's laughable at a film like Sonic 3, which is the third in the series and making roughly around the same amount of money with less money spent on it. I personally think the whole situation is hilarious. I think this is a major embarrassment for Disney, but I also think that Disney is going to refuse to take the L on this. They're going to continue to hide replies. They're going to continue to make a mockery of themselves, all because they need to sell as many tickets as possible to pump the numbers up for Mufasa. But hey, as big of a disappointment Mufasa may be for Disney, at least their savior, Snow White, is around the corner. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you like this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it. We'll talk to you again later.